Ждем подключения нашего следующего гостя. Это замечательный человек, зовут его Нил Оберман, и сегодня мы будем общаться. Человек, который не называет себя политиком, но занимается этим очень активно, очень успешно. Лоер, которого, так сказать, знают, любят и относятся с большим уважением. Но интересно то, что у этого человека, у Нила, жена, которую зовут Стефани, работает в Федерации, так сказать, Еврейской Федерации в Монреале, взрослый сын Эндрю, который учится в университете, он студент, и, как рассказал мне вчера Нил в частной беседе, его жена и мама его жены когда-то, очень много лет назад, участвовала в таком проекте, это 70-е годы, который назывался «Let my people go». Это для того, чтобы помочь людям из бывшего Советского Союза, евреям, приехать так сказать, жить в Канаде или в другой стране, но чтобы вырваться из этой замечательной страны под названием Советский Союз. Много о чем есть поговорить с этим замечательным человеком, и зовут его Нил Оберман. Нил, если вы... Sorry, I have to switch the languages. If you could hear us, I would like to say good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you today?
Working very hard.
I can see that. Neil, thank you very much that you find the time to come to talk to us. We are just radio in Russian language. It's a daily morning show, Monday to Friday from 8 to 10 in Vancouver time. But we just radio with a very strong Jewish content. And when I met Ilona and she'd been invited to our show to talk about what's happened in Montreal when the pro-Palestine rally just happened in your city, we just talked about that. And then she mentioned to me that, you know what, we have somebody who really knows how to make our life better. In this person's name, Neil Oberman. I would like to know today, ask you how really to make our life better. But before we go there, I would like to ask you something else. I know that you are the lawyer who lives in Montreal all your life because you was born in Canada, right? In Montreal.
I'm born in Canada, raised in Canada, live in Canada, but it's not the Canada that I was raised in that I'm currently living in. It's a completely different place. It's a place that I did not expect that I would be at my age and my position in life. So the world has changed, and so has Canada.
Look, you are second generation who was born in Canada, and as far as I know from our conversation last night, that your grandparents were born in Russia. Am I right?
They were born in Russia. Some were from Poland, some were from Russia. They were from Eastern Europe. Correct.
From Eastern Europe. And I know that today, even you are in your life and your career, the successful guy you as a lawyer, you have, I hope everything that you need. But at the same time, your wife is working in the Jewish Federation in Montreal. Your son, Andrew, who is a student. And I know that your mother-in-law been involved in a big project at 70s, Let My People Go. They tried to bring a Jew from former Soviet Union to Canada. Am I right, Neil?
Yeah, you're correct. My wife works in community, and my mother-in-law was a strong advocate for refuseniks to bring them from the former Soviet Union to Canada. And the family has a long tradition of defending the community, working with the community, because the community is us, we are the community. So when we help other people, we help ourselves.
Mm-hmm. You just mentioned right now that today we have a Canada, which is not Canada that you like, and it's not the Canada what country you remember when you being a kid. Am I right?
The country that I grew up in was a country of prosperity, civility, inclusion, respect, safety, security, and a country where hope had value, where people would wake up in the morning, go to work hard, get a good, strong paycheck, be able to buy things, be able to enjoy things. And this is not the Canada we currently live in. We live in a different version of that Canada. That Canada that we currently live in is as a result of 9 years of liberal NDP government that has broken down our institutions, wrecked our economy, divided our citizens, and created an atmosphere where hope does not exist. This is the Canada that we now live in. I reject this Canada. I reject the liberal NDP government. I reject people who come to our country to do bad. I reject people who are here who don't stand up against hate, aggression, discrimination, and violence. I reject it. I reject it. I reject it.
Neil, what do you think? Why Canadian society, Canadian people vote for this government, Trudeau in his cabinet, even not one time?
I can't speak to what was. I can speak to what will be, and I can speak to where we are. I can tell you this much. I knock on doors. I speak to people. I speak to many people. People are overwhelmingly rejecting the liberal NDP vision of Canada. And when the election is called, hopefully sooner than later, the citizens of our great country will tell the people who are currently in government that we reject you. We reject your ideas of division, your policies of destruction, and your attempt to marginalize us as Canadians and as citizens of the world. The next election will be a blue wave coming that will sweep out the old, bring in the new, and prosperity, safety, security will come back to this country, where people, when they wake up in the morning and they open their door, they'll go, I know where I live. I live in a great Canada. Right now, people wake up and they don't know where they live. Violence on the streets, economy in the tanks, people unable to secure good paying jobs where your salary has value, insecurity in food, not knowing if your children will be able to buy a home and have a future. Listen, I'm not a politician. I'm a person like you. And I want to tell your listeners something that's very important. Reject what you see. Do not allow those people to steal your future, your children's future, and their children's future. Every day that they're there, they create more problems. They create an atmosphere where our society cannot thrive. This must be rejected. And if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your next generation, do it for your grandkids, do it for your children. I will not stand by. I will not allow this to occur. The Conservative Party of Canada, with Pierre Poilievre and my fellow caucus members, all agree that the only vision for Canada is one of prosperity, inclusion, safety, security, and hope. And we're going to bring that back, and we're going to make sure it lasts a very long time.
Thank you, Neil. Neil, you represent for today Conservative Party, and I have conservative value as well. Do you believe, as far as what you said now, I think you believe that conservative, I remember Stephen Harper government and our life in Canada, and I think that Pierre is close to this vision and philosophy that we got from the Stephen Harper. Do you believe that Pierre Poilievre just a strong leader that just to change our life and to fix everything what liberal destroy?
Okay, so first of all, Pierre Poilievre is a strong, reasonable, well-read, articulate, caring leader who listens to people and wants to know what their vision of Canada is. I want to make something very clear for people who are maybe oscillating between, do I vote Liberal or do I vote Conservative? Let me help you with that. The Liberals want to liberate you from your money. The Liberals want to liberate you from your safety, your security. The Liberals want to liberate you from a future of prosperity. Conversely, what are the Conservative values? They want to conserve your money, conserve and enhance your safety and security, conserve and enhance your ability for your children to be successful. So it's a very simple decision. You want the past or you want the future? I suggest there is no future in the past with the Liberal NDP coalition that has held us back, minimalized us, marginalized us, wrecked our future. Why? Because they're selfish. They're self-involved. They don't respect people. They respect themselves. And I will not, with my fellow members in the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre, allow this to continue. I tell you, wake up, Canada. Wake up and see what's going on. Are we sheep or are we wolves? And I am not a sheep, and I will not be brought down by people who do not share values of every good Canadian. I reject it, and you should reject it.
Mhm. It's exactly what I would like to ask you right now. That how do you think? What do you think, Neil? How we can people with conservative value like you, like myself, how we can help conservative to become a leader of the country and save our life, that change it what we have now?
You're doing it right now. You're spreading a message of prosperity, hope, a vision of Canada that is way better. Why in 2024 do students need to hire a lawyer to go to university? Why do they have to hire Neil Oberman, a lawyer, to make sure that they can go to class? Where do we live? Your listeners for sure reject that. There's no doubt, because every reasonable person of any level of society knows that our future is in our young people. And if our young people are dehumanized, demoralized, diminished, put in the corner, where will our future be? Where will that be? And I also want to tell you something that's very clear, that a lot of people who come from different parts of the world maybe are not accustomed to. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're educated, or whether you're not, you get one vote. One vote. And that, Sasha, is the power of the people. And that is why we collectively are going to take back our dignity, take back our society, take back our government, and more importantly, we're going to send a message to those who do not share the values of Canadians. We reject you. We reject your concepts. We reject your history. We reject your actions. And more importantly, the polls will tell us where we will go. So for everybody listening, if I'm not clear now, trust me, I will continue to spread the message. And it will be a message of inclusion, safety, security, prosperity. And join us. This is a journey. And I need your journey because it's my journey. And that is how we're going to get from where we are to where we need to be. And it will come, and it will be prosperous, and it will be glorious, and it will be something that people will remember for many generations. How Canadians took back what was taken, rejected the nonsense going on in Ottawa, their continued division of our societies. They say one thing to the Jews, one thing to the Arabs, one thing to the Christians, one thing to the Hindus. They go to the mosques and send messages. They go to the synagogues and send messages. They go to the temples and they send different messages. They confuse everybody with their messaging. Why? Because they fill the void with their power. It's a vacuum, and they do it very well. But it's going to stop because Canadians are not sheep, and we will not tolerate it, and it will be eliminated, because in a democracy, it's about being heard. And right now, we're all on mute. We're going to unmute every Canadian, and every Canadian is going to tell that coalition that we didn't vote for, we reject you. We do not accept you, and we will not allow it to continue.
Neil,
Sorry. Thank you, Neil. We have a phone call.
can we get it, Neil?
Can we
Don't
get
you
it?
mind? Can we get a phone call, Neil? It's okay?
You can take any phone call. You can ask me any question. Trust me, I'm not concerned.
Yeah. Yes, we can get it.
Доброе утро. Доброе утро в эфире. Здравствуйте.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Arseny. I have a question for Neil. What is the Conservative Party strategy to fix the economy? As you said, Conservative Party, we're going to fix the economy. What are the concrete steps for that? And the second question is, what are your views on the current immigration? Should it be reduced, or should we continue to accept more people? And if we do have to cut down immigration, how will it impact Canadian economy and particularly the housing market? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great questions, and they're actually interrelated questions. So economy and immigration are connected. Let me address the issue of immigration. They don't have a policy in Ottawa now. That's the problem. They lost 1 million people. Why do we have students here on student visas who are on studying? What are they doing? How come they're not being checked? How come the universities, the colleges, the technical colleges are not being held accountable that if the student doesn't show up, they're not reporting it? So let me be clear on the issue of immigration. Immigration is important for every country in order to grow its population base. But you have to have policies, procedures, metrics that are reasonable. Having everybody come here without a policy, without ensuring that we can house people. Why do you think we have a housing crisis? Because we can't build homes because we have more people here than homes. So if you keep bringing people from outside of the country and you can't house your current citizens, how are you going to house other people? And the immigration policy sucks. Maybe that's not a good word, but it sucks. Why? Because its purpose is to do good to Canadians. If you have people coming whose values are not Canadian, who don't want to participate in Canadian civil society, who come here to disrupt and aggress people because they don't like what they see, they shouldn't come here. And by the way, we're not only going to have to redo the immigration policy, we're going to have to deal with the mess that they didn't properly surveil, investigate, and control. And that's going to take a long time. So now let's go back to the economy. The economy is in shambles. Why? Because they don't know what a budget is. You know, we all live with a budget. Everybody knows if you have X amount of dollars and you have Y amount to spend, you can't spend more than you have. But what does the government do? It just keeps spending. It spends in an irresponsible, unrealistic way. Here's an example, sir. They just said, we're going to give you a $250 check. Here, it's a Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa gift. But when you endorse that check, you're endorsing your grandchildren's future away. The Conservative Party of Canada is going to balance a budget that has not been balanced, that has not been checked. We're going to save money by cutting the bureaucracy. So if we're going to spend $1, let's find $1. We have to find $1 to save. Now, do I expect on day one a magic wand to solve all of our problems? No, sir, it will not be solved. Am I an economist? No, I'm an attorney. Do I have specialized skills in economic restructuring? No, but we have very many members of our caucus that will make sure that the economy is back on track with proper consultation with Canadians, because within the first 60 days, we're going to go out, we're going to meet with Canadians, see what they want. And then when we hear what they want and we know what we need to do, we're going to fix a problem that should have been fixed. The first things first, we're all going to have to tighten some belts somewhere because we can't keep spending. It's just not possible. I don't do it. You don't do it. The government shouldn't do it. The government isn't different than you and I. It's now become like a separate person. Okay, I understand in law, government is an entity, but we are the government. The government should be us. So why should they ask of us what they're not going to do for themselves? I got to live with a budget. You got to live with a budget. Let's get a budget in place that makes sense. What about food insecurity? Why are food banks growing? Why are people unable to feed their children? Why is food so expensive? You know why? It's because we have carbon tax, and transporting goods from one side of the country to the other side of the country by cartage means you put fossil fuels in your truck and there are carbon taxes. And then the owner has to pay the driver more because the cost of living has gone up. And who pays for it? The end user. So let me tell you, it's great to complain, but action is another thing. No action can be taken without the government calling an election, allowing us as conservatives, as good Canadians, to form a new government in order to fix the mess that they created. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Neil. I would like to ask you, what's happening on Parliament Hill now?
It's like high school, sir, okay? You ever been to high school? They're always arguing and shouting at each other. Do I like it? No. Am I there? No. Am I going to be there? That's up to the people. Is that Neil Oberman? No. I'm a lawyer. When I go to court, I'm respectful. Okay, I follow rules. Do I yell and scream at people? No. Why? Not effective messaging. Is it happening? Yes. Should it happen? No. Okay, but when you have this high level of frustration and you're being held back, held hostage by a government, of a coalition government that doesn't have a mandate, and the people want them gone, and they sit there every day and they make up stories about what is and what isn't, yeah, it's frustrating for people. We're all human, right? We all react. Here's the difference between myself and the NDP coalition. I know what it is to have a code of ethics because I'm a lawyer and I'm bound by one. And I live my life with respect and dignity. And when I go there, I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to fight for people. Why? Because I am you, you are me, we are all the same person. I get up in the morning and I got to go to work and I got to pay the bills and I got to go shopping and I don't like it and I don't want it to continue. You should reject it because I'm rejecting it because good Canadians are rejecting it.
Yeah, do we have a phone call?
We have a next phone call.
We will take it, Neil, if you don't mind.
I'm here to answer questions.
Yeah.
Доброе утро в эфире. Здравствуйте, как вас зовут? Доброе утро в эфире. Здравствуйте.
Доброе утро. Меня зовут Ирина. У меня вопрос к гостю.
Да, только по-английски, пожалуйста.
Yes, please. Good morning. My name is Irina. I am from Vancouver, and I have some questions to you. And I think the main problem and question, what is interested for me and for many people, how do you think about marijuana and legalization marijuana and strong and hard drugs like opioid and another like a fentanyl in Canada?
Well, it's a great question, and by the way, it's an issue we've addressed in the Conservative Party. Pierre Poilievre and myself attended a press conference this summer in Montreal where the illustrious mayor of Montreal believed that you could have safe areas to shoot up. And you know, there's no safe area to ingest illegal drugs that are dangerous for you. Here's my vision of marijuana. I don't use it. I don't like it. I don't give a rat's ass if it's legal or not. It doesn't help Canadians. It helps tax inclusion, right? Because they get a lot of money from it. I don't like it. I don't like drugs. I've never used them. I don't want to use them. They don't help society. Now, we have an epidemic, and it's a serious epidemic. You have one in Vancouver, right? You have people who shoot up in public. These people need help. They don't need safe places to shoot up. They need treatment, they need counseling, they need a home, and they need caring, people who will care for them. Drugs are not the friends of Canadians. I know the Conservative Party's position is very clear. We don't support hard drugs. Okay. However, you should look at the Liberal NDP policies, trying to maybe legalize opioids and other potential drugs in different areas. I don't know all the policies, but I know this. It's a Canadian problem. It's not a Vancouver problem. It's not a Montreal problem. It's a human problem. And when you don't treat people with respect and dignity and you don't help them, things get worse, not only for them, but for all of us. Because we're on the street, they commit crimes because they need to fuel their addictions. So they commit petty crimes. We have a problem now because people come into the legal system and they go out the door the same day they come in. You know, it's like a rotating situation. We don't help people by not helping them. We help nobody by not addressing concerns. So, madam, I don't like hard drugs. I don't use them. I don't promote them. They're illegal across Canada. While marijuana is legal, it doesn't make it right to use. And you know who's using these drugs and why are they using them? I don't have all the statistics. I can tell you that near my office is a Quebec-run drug dispensary, and it's always busy, and there's always a lineup, and I don't like it. Whether it's legal or not, alcohol is legal. I don't drink. Okay. Drinking and driving is not good. You know, people are prone to use things in excess. What would you like me to tell you? I'm not a social worker. And the job of government has one job, major, right at the top of the list, protect its citizens. Number one at the top. Because without protection, safety, and security, it doesn't matter about anything else. And what I would say to you, madam, you should be appalled by what's going on. But your voice can only be heard if you decide to make the most important decision. Vote them out. Period.
Neil, our children, thank you very much. Our children is our future, our present time. When you talk to your son, Andrew, he is a student in university, and today's student in Canada, many of them like support liberal. This is pro-Palestine rally in Montreal. It's more like about that. When you talk to Andrew, do you know what to say to him that he understands conservative value? And as an example, what we have to say our children.
Yeah, I want to correct you, Sasha. It's not pro-Palestinian. It's pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist organizations infiltrating campuses, social milieux to destabilize our young people, destabilize our campuses, our schools, our fundamental framework as Canadians. So I first want to reject, any of your listeners should hear clearly, freedom of expression is not freedom to hate. Freedom of assembly isn't a violent gathering of people in front of a synagogue or a church trying to intimidate people. I reject that. I'm a lawyer. I know the law, okay? So I'm going to tell you that's not protected by law. So what do I tell young people? Stand up, be heard, go back to school. Do not let them threaten you. The young people are very smart, very smart. They have access to a lot of more information than we did growing up because of the internet, because they understand that their lives are being impacted by people who don't care for them. If they cared for them, they wouldn't let all these people on campus, near campus, into the classes. You know, I fight for these students. I was just in court yesterday. I had to go get an injunction against McGill Students Association. Why? Because they wanted to pass something about anti-Semitism without even consulting with people, because they want to marginalize people, because this is how the social fabric works now. And by the way, we know from data that foreign entities like Iran have been trying to influence our campuses by messaging on social media, negative messaging. So what people think about where they used to come from former Soviet Union, they know about state control, about how the message is controlled. This isn't Canada, but it's become Canada because our government is weak, incompetent, and unable to execute their functions. The primary function is protect citizens. Where are the government officials? Why, after 12 months, are pro-Hamas terrorists on our streets, blocking our schools, blocking our synagogues, blocking our churches? Why? What is being done? I don't want to hear it's not me, it's the provinces, it's not the provinces, it's municipality. Bullshit, okay? That's what it is. It's bullshit. And I'm tired of listening to people tell me that as a Canadian, I have to be worried about walking on the street because I'm different than the next person. We need to reject this. Every person, every good Canadian knows that Canada has to be a place of safety and security. It has to be a place of inclusion. It has to be a place where your value of your entity, of your person is respected. It is not the case. And I am sorry to tell you this. It will not get better if we continue to do the same thing. If we keep voting for these people, it will keep getting worse. Stop it. Reject it. Change it. Stand up. Be heard. We will prevail over the darkness. It will not be allowed to continue. We just need an election.
You know what I'm thinking now, Neil, when I talk to you? Lucky Montreal that they have you. You told me that you are not a politician. You are such a great speaker that people just text me right now that that's what we have to hear to understand the situation much better and what we're supposed to do in the coming election. And I would like to be very thankful to Ilona Trostman, the Israeli woman who lives in Vancouver, in Montreal, in Canada, who introduced us to you, and we have an opportunity to listen to you right now, Neil. I would like to say thank you so much that you found the time. Just really, it's that we are looking for, that we need now, that to listen people like you, like Melissa Lanzman, when we had an interview with Melissa and in our radio show, and just how he talked. Actually, she speaks Russian a little bit. It was very interesting. Yeah, and
I have a message, Sasha, with your permission. It's your show, and I respect people. So I'd like your permission to send one last message. This is to all your listeners, and look at me in the eye and listen to me carefully. If you're thinking about moving from Canada, I'm going to move to Texas, Florida, I'm going to stop you. I know where you can move. It's a great place. You don't need an airline ticket. You don't need travel insurance. You can move to Canada under a majority conservative government, under Pierre Poilievre as our next prime minister, and Neil Oberman as your member of parliament for Mount Royal. It is going to be a great place to live. You are never going to say, I'm moving to Texas or Florida. You will live in the place that you came to, that you prospered in, that you developed a family, and you will live in security and safety because the Conservative Party of Canada, its members, all the people that support it, support our future. Reject the past. There is no future in the past. Only prosperity comes when we take back what has been stolen, take back what has been marginalized, and I promise you this, I certify you this, I will work harder that anybody has ever worked before, because I believe in the message and I believe in Canadians, but I don't believe in what's going on. And with that, Sasha, I thank you for your indulgence. I thank your listeners. I can be followed on Instagram. I can be followed on LinkedIn. I can be followed on Facebook. But you know who to follow? Follow your gut and follow your soul. It will lead you to a much better place. I promise you.
Neil, thank you so much. And I have to let you know that we are next to you. And because I never forget when Stephen Harper came to Israel with official visit, when the Knesset 5 or 6 times stand up to let him know that how great is the relationship between Canada and Israel. And I remember the next day in all newspaper like New York Times, like Washington Post, it was a line from his speech that in a fire in water, we are next to Israel. I would like to tell you, Neil, in the fire and in the water, we are next to Conservative, to Pierre, to you, to Melissa. We are just together, and I would like to let you know that. And it's a big honor that you, for my radio, for this show, for Vancouverites, for Canadian, that you found time which you don't have it and come to talk to us and to give us this message that we can hear now.
Well, thank you. And, I was with Mr. Harper about 2 weeks ago. He was in the riding. We did a major fundraiser because Mr. Harper said it better than anybody else. He said, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. And he was asked, why did you support them? Because he said it's the right thing to do. And it continues that our government is incapable, unwilling to do what is right. They don't do what's right there, and they don't do what's right here, and they won't do right by you in the next house, because next time around, Canadians will be smarter, and they'll be more involved in their future, and they'll say, I reject those people. I reject the past.
Neil, I would like to ask you one more question, if you have a minute from our in writings that people send it to me. Can you ask Neil, what about when recently somebody burned our Canadian flag? It's a democracy, or what is this?
Yeah, look, I don't personally condone burning flags of anybody's country, but yeah, effectively it's called free speech. But there are limitations on free speech, right? If you're going to burn a flag and say, I'm going to kill everybody, that's not free speech, that's hate speech, and that's uttering death threats. So we have to make a line between what is, civilly accepted and what is not. Let me explain to your listeners. They have now perverted civil liberties. It's now a delivery system for hate and aggression, and then they mask it as saying, oh, but I have a right to do this. No, you don't have a right to do it. Like, you don't have a right to go into a bank with your face covered, yelling and screaming, holding an incendiary device, and saying, give me all your money. Because that's what people say. Is that free speech? No, that's not free speech. That's robbing a bank, okay? That's uttering threats. Okay, so people should stop following the liberal NDP bullet points about what is democracy. They don't know what democracy is. If they did, they'd call an election, because people keep telling them we don't want you. So when the people who don't call an election, right, tell you that calling people and for their death is okay and it's free speech, I kind of question the impairment level of those people. And ultimately, as an attorney, I'm an officer of the court. So I respect the court and I respect the Constitution. I just don't respect people perverting it. I don't respect politicians talking about it when they have no knowledge of it and don't do anything whatsoever to make our lives better as simple Canadians. I'm a simple man. I work for a living. I go walk my dog. I go grocery shopping. I don't want to be attacked and berated because I'm different. It's not right. It's not human. It's not Canada. We got to reject it. They're trying to normalize this comportment with what? Intellectual rut? Oh my gosh, it's the law. No, the rule of law has lost all meaning in Canada. That light that used to be the rule of law is dimmed. It's dimmed because there's somebody putting a cap on it. It's called the liberal NDP government. So for your listeners, look, listen, read, reject, repeat. That's what they need to do.
Neil, thank you so much. It's an interesting comment that I got now that Neil, what he is doing, he show that the Russian-speaking community who addresses right now is you show that we are sometimes people listen that, oh, you're just not good enough Canadian. And you show with your participation in our program that, yes, guys, you are good enough Canadian. And my message to you, am I right?
No, you're not right. You're 100% right. But you see, the problem is we shouldn't have to be mentioning that. But the government, its Liberal coalition with the NDP, has created all these divisions in Canada. You have the Russians, you have the French-speaking, you have the Chinese, you have the Jews. So they want to minimalize and marginalize communities like yourselves. You're the community of my community. What does that mean? All Canadians are part of the same community. But when you create division, everybody feels that they need to fight for their place within the Federation. Had it been more inclusive, had they been less divisive, less involved in their political survival versus the survival of Canadians, your listener wouldn't have asked that question, because your listener would have said, I'm welcomed in Canada. I am at home in Canada. The problem is today that's not the case. And it's not the case only for Russians. It's for a lot of people. But I can tell you, you see it in me. You hear it in my voice. When I get to Ottawa and they give me a job, I'm going to make sure that the job that I do will be in a way that people will be included, not excluded. You won't ask that question in Canada. That's a question that you ask if you're a minority in some third world country that doesn't respect anybody. Why, as Canadians, are we asking if our voices count, if our communities have value? That's because that's what they've done to us. And I will repeat it again. I, Neil Oberman, citizen of Canada, reject that in all forms, at all times, with the greatest of value to all Canadians. Do the same thing. Take your lives back. Take your dignity back. Stop listening to these people. They don't know what they're doing. They don't understand Canada. They understand they want their pensions. And who's paying for it? Your grandchildren. Good luck.
Thank you, Neil. And now really last questions and maybe personal one. The Canadian mentality, it's show very well from your mother-in-law, who at 70s been involved on this let my people go when they try to bring refusnik to Jewish people who could not leave Soviet Union to come to Canada. She already been in Canada, your mother-in-law. She been happy to be in a free country, but still she continue to help another people, refusniks, come to Canada and be happy and free. Why?
Why not? That's what we do as Canadians. We're supposed to help each other. Good Canadians want their friends, their family, new citizens to be included, to be prosperous, to be free. We've lost this concept where we do things for the right reason as opposed to for our own survival and self-benefit. I have to tell you that there is no I in this. It's we. We need to do better. We need to take things back. It's not Neil Oberman, it's not Pierre Poilievre, it's not the Conservative Party, it's not Melissa, it's not Marty, it's not Shug. It's we the people, we the citizens. We are you, you are us. The problem is that today's society has gone in a bad direction. Morals, values, ideologies, all of which the fabric has been torn apart, because when you have a divisive government, that sole purpose is to divide and conquer, to win an election, it creates ripples in the fabric of society. The fabric of society is torn, but we can mend it. I'm confident, I'm very confident that with the right leadership, with the right message, with the right intent, and with the right spirit, we will mend the fabric of our society. The topography of Canada has changed. We can no longer afford to close a blind eye to what has been done. Only with the light can we have more light. There is a light. It's called Canada as it used to be, a Canada of inclusion, diversity, respect, prosperity. They put a black cloud over us. They want to keep the cloud present, because when it rains for them and they're selling umbrellas, it's the perfect business. And I'll tell you something, we're going to stop it. I'm going to stop it. Sasha, you're going to stop it. Your listeners are going to stop it. From Vancouver all the way to Newfoundland, it's all going to change. And my friends, I'll tell you this, it is the greatest of journeys that we will all take together. And when we arrive, it will be a glorious day for all of us. So with that, I ask you again, wake up, take back, reject, think of the light. It will bring us prosperity.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Neil. Again, I just would like to repeat that my invitation, that I would like to say thank you to Ilona Trostman, who introduced us to you. And I would like to say again that we are next to you, to Pierre, to Melissa, to all of you, and we believe, strongly believe that we can get a lot together. And I would like to wish you a happy Hanukkah, to you, to your wife Stephanie, to your son Andrew, to your mother-in-law, about her we talked today, and just wish you, when I think about freedom, I think about Jewish Canada, and come to my mind Neil again, Melissa, Pierre, Ilona. Just we are part of you guys, and you can rely on us. And again, thank you very much for your great speech today, and that you come to the show and find the time.
Thank you so much, and all the best to all your listeners, whether they're Jewish, whether they're Christian, or they're Hindu. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and whatever you celebrate one of the most important things that we can as Canadians, taking back our freedom. It's a very important holiday. It's coming next October, and it's called Election Day, and it'll be a great holiday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Neil. Thank you
so much.
Wait you anytime in our program. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.